Good afternoon, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of an update on the Tramp project so far. We want to show you guys what has happened on the couple dyno pulls that we got on video. Larry did a great job on getting this thing dialed in, and we are happy with the results so far, but there is a reason why Dan is laying underneath the back of the vehicle, and we're going to get into that right now. So thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. We're going to be giving you guys a lot of updates on the Tramp and obviously customer cars like that sweet Saline that's up there. I'm not sure if you can see how badass the color is, but it's for sale. Anyway, we're going to be giving you guys a lot of updates over the next few videos on cars that have left and came, but mainly the Tramp and the D1X project. So let's get right into that. All right, so guys, in this next video, notate, I'm going to try to zoom in for you to show you the fuel pressure gauge. It's the second gauge on the pillar in this car, and in case you can't tell, as I'm doing this layover, the fuel pressure is climbing from a 60 base it's climbing from a 60 base and around 73 pounds. It starts to actually go backwards to like 68, 67, right as he lifts off the throttle. And the fuel pressure is not climbing one-to-one with the boost pressure. So this resulted in our injector duty cycle going to 100 because the fuel volume is not quite there to utilize the 120-pound injectors. Now, just give you guys a quick rundown what we changed for this year. For one, we went to E85, so that required all PTFE fuel lines. We upgraded to a 10 feed and 8 return, Holley 120-pound injectors, and this bitchin' D1X Pro Charger head unit. That's the main power upgrades. We did different lines. We got 180 to fit on the front of this rail because we're always kind of skeptical about how that works. And we sent our MagnaFuel 625 in to get a upgrade to a 750, which is what I have here. So now this is what we had on the car. It literally has like 7 gallons of fuel through it so far. And had we stayed on gasoline, it would have been plenty for our project. But seeing that we wanted to get the cheap man's race fuel in the Tramp this year, we needed to upgrade it to the 750. Now we thought this was going to make about 1100 at the flywheel, which is what the blower's supposed to make. So it should make roughly 900 and some change at the tire. This was not the case at ASSC, as you guys saw in that dyno video. It only ended up making 808 horsepower at the tire. I say only. It's awesome. We're very happy with that, but we did want to make more. So it made 808 at the rear tire. It made 650-ish foot-pounds of torque. I mean, you guys will see that all that power came in upstairs. From 6,000 and up, it was just climbing away from last year's dyno chart with no problem whatsoever, just skyrocketing. And every time we tighten the belt, we got another pound of boost out of it. So we might be doing something trick with the pulleys in the future. But for now, we're leaving that setup where it's at. We'll put a new belt on it and let it roll for a little while. All right, so let's get into why Dan's laying underneath the back of the Tramp right now. When we were on the dyno, the fuel pressure started to drop off. The fuel pressure actually drops off at high RPM, and we pretty much lift off the throttle at that point because the injector duty cycle went to 100, and that is because the fuel volume was insufficient with this Pro Tuner 750. Now, we had to kind of discuss this the other night at ASSC and figure out how are we going to remedy this problem. We could get another 750, like both of those cars have, running two 750s. Top one is staged, so it turns one on, then the other one on with TPS. Bottom one running 2 full-time, both E85 cars. So we thought, okay, well, we can get another 750 Pro Tuner. We can get a Y block. We can feed off the other port of the back of the sump, run them in line, tee them into each other with some 10s, and then run that 10 feed up to the front and just do that. And the Big Stuff 3 also has the capability to trigger a second pump, so we can still keep the fuel temperatures in check. Now, once you start adding up the bill for that, it's $500 for a pump, probably like $100 for fittings and lines. You got another $100 for Y blocks. You have $200, almost $300 in filters. I mean, it's just kind of, I mean, it added up pretty quick to $900 or so. And a lot more time, more wiring, etc. More MagnaFuel relays to power another pump, and more amperage draw. So there's a lot in the cons column. Had we started from scratch, maybe we would have just done that right away. So what we did was we thought about it and decided to make a significant upgrade to the fuel system, and we posted out for help, so thank you guys for helping.
Where did you get it from in front of it there?
So it's hard to tell what we got going on under there, but that is the new Aeromotive Brushless 5.0 gear pump. It's still electric, obviously. This thing will flow all the fuel that this thing would ever need, ever. And it actually had an Aeromotive pump on it in the past. I like the mounting better since we hang it off the front of that plastic shroud. I actually like how this setup is with a wide 4-bolt pattern. It's much more solid than the MagnaFuel 90 block. But we're pretty excited to see what it is. Now, we did get a variable speed one, so we ran a TPS signal wire from the ECU back to this pump as well. So if you guys aren't familiar with the brushless pumps, they flow a ton of fuel, but they do take a lot of amperage, and with the more fuel that you flow without using it, the higher your temperatures are going to be on the fuel. And with the E85, it causes increase in corrosive properties, and you really don't want warm fuel to begin with. So we are using the variable speed, which at 0.7 volts off the TPS, which this will probably have about 0.9 at idle. It's going to be probably like 25 to 40 roughly % of the pump cycle, and then it's pretty much directly ramps up all the way up to 3.7 volts of throttle, which is about 75%. 3.7 volts off the TPS, which is about 3/4 throttle, is when the pump is going to be full bore. So that should help with amperage draw. It should help with fuel temperatures, and at wide open throttle, this thing's going to have plenty of fuel. So we can get it back on the dyno tomorrow, hopefully, and tighten the shit out of the belt. We're going to put a new belt on it, tighten the shit out of it, and see if we can pick up a bunch of power. Some other information before we show you guys what the pump sounds like. The spark plugs that we're running in this car on race fuel are much colder than what it needs on E85. So far, the timing marks on the spark plug at the 808 number shows that it was super conservative. So we are going to be putting a projected tip warmer plug in it now, which will be great for street use. Hopefully we don't go through as many this year. But if it's still short on timing with that warmer plug, I think there's potential to really easily pick up that 100 horsepower that we're looking for to get to 9 at the tire. But yeah, we're going to trigger the pump, see what it sounds like, make sure that it sounds different with TPS modulation, and that's going to wrap up this video until you guys see the follow-up dyno video later this week. So make sure you subscribe for that. But yeah, let's see what it sounds like.
That ain't bad. Different. It's very different. I haven't even got fuel pressure yet.
Still no? Alright guys, so it's working, it's hooked up, the TPS signal works. Right now I have it priming for 30 seconds on the big stuff just to show you guys what the TPS variability does. So Maestro, play a little music for us. Pretty freaking sweet. Pretty sweet. I wonder what it does to the pressure.
It jumps like 10. When you full bore,
it jumps to 70,
yeah.
But it's not running.
No.
So when it's not running, because if it does that while it's running, it's going to do weird things.
Yeah.
So in which case, we'll probably end up backing the pressure down.
Oh, for sure.
or adjusting the map for accelerator pump enrichment, because that'll probably change how that works. But it's not sucking any fuel into the engine. It's not consuming any fuel out of the injectors. So it's just overflow in the regulator. I wonder, now this is new to us. This is the biggest fuel pump we've actually put on anything. So I wonder if that's going to lead to us needing a larger regulator. If the sign is that if you go from 30% of this fuel pump to all of it, and the pressure rises to, and then falls back down, if that's going to be an indicator that we need a bigger regulator. So hopefully it's not. Hopefully that's not the case, but something that we definitely have to keep in mind once we run it and see what it does. But anyway, super sick, brushless 5.0 installed on Tramp. Did not think we were going to have a bazillion-dollar fuel system going on it this year, but I think we are all comfortable to say that this is the Tramp in its final form, and it's going to be a fucking badass year with this car. So, all right, guys, I'm going to take a couple videos for our Instagram and our Snapchat so I could show the pump variability, which is really cool. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you subscribe. We got a lot of projects coming up. Spring's around the corner. We have a lot of junior cars here. These are both COTS junior cars or Anarchy junior cars, street cars. We have the motor for the Camaro done. We're waiting for head studs. The motor for Anthony's S10 is going to be done this week. Motor for the big block for the Lightning is almost done. The motor for the Lightning is almost done. So yeah, the big block for the 454. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on here at Streetcar Shenanigans. We have a little bit of a surprise next week to show you guys what we're doing to kind of invest in the business, make sure that we can continue to help people get their projects on track without having to wait till May, which is our current wait time to get in. So thank you guys so much for asking about if getting in when we're getting us to work on your cars. We really appreciate that. Make sure you just keep emailing us. We're slow to respond because Dan and I do everything. So it's kind of difficult to keep track of everything at one time, but we are really giving it our best effort. All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, sorry I'm just clipping this in here somewhere, but the other thing that you have to keep in mind when you're going to these huge fuel pumps, which we never really addressed on this car, is the vent line. It's very important, much more important than you think, especially when you're going to start making max combination horsepower. The stock vent line that normally goes into the evap canister and gets a vacuum pulled from the engine and all that jazz, here's a picture of it. It is like an 1/8 inch line with a rollover valve. So on this, I took off the dash 12 on the bottom to drain the fuel out of it before we started this project of changing the fuel pump, and the fuel was not coming out very quickly. I'm like, what is up with this? So I had Dan open the fuel cap. It literally just got fuel all over the ground. I was like, okay. So not only is the pump inadequate because we were near its max, and the vent line could have definitely not helped that fact at all, but what am I trying to say? I'm not saying that the vent line caused us to be short on the horsepower number, but a vent line is very important, and it was like, oh shit, we got to do something about this. So we ended up putting a vent line on it. They recommend a dash 8 minimum. The fittings that we had laying around to use was 10. So you can see we coiled up some line and then ran it down there, so it does have a 10. Down to kind of like where the standard vent is also. So that won't be a problem, but it's crazy now. You fill it with fuel, you can feel the air escaping out of the bottom, out of that vent line. So that should help us as well. But something to keep in mind for you guys, a little tech tip. Make sure you're checking the vent size when you're going to these huge pumps and stock style tanks, because they're not made to handle that evacuation. Huh?
Don't forget to check filters every year.
Yeah, yeah.
At least something.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. All right, so we just started it up. I'm going to start it for you guys again, but you can't even hear the fuel pump when it's running. So it does seem like it's a little bit louder, but you still can't hear it over the exhaust, so it's nothing crazy.
Well, the 750 we could hear over the exhaust pretty easily.
Woo! Streetcar coming soon. Any full interior, no cage, stick shift cars in the area, get at us. Get at us. Tyler Ditchfield, that's you, son. Come on, get that turbo car out here. All right, we'll see you guys next time.